Hey, in today's episode, we're gonna walk through how to develop your buyer personas. If you're doing digital marketing, this is a critical first step, and we're gonna walk you through a couple steps on how to do that. Don't miss out on this episode.
Welcome to IndustrialSage, a free video podcast series all about digital marketing for industrial manufacturers. Hear interviews with your peers and find out how they're solving the same challenges that you might be facing in your own field. Coming to you from the Optimum Production Studio in Atlanta, Georgia, this is IndustrialSage.
Buyer personas. We've talked about this a lot on IndustrialSage. Same thing with strategy. So figuring out your buyer personas are really a very, very, very important first step before you do anything. And we've talked about this a lot, and I'll talk about it again right now. Why is that? Because that's really ultimately looking at your customer and the people who are going to influence the purchase of buying your product or service, okay? So it's really, really important that we get an understanding of who that person is, what they look like, where they are, their influence in the organization, all of this, because that is really going to feed the content and it's going to feed the rest of the strategy on what you're going to do. For example, let's say, we're going to go outside of the manufacturing industry, and let's say we are in retail and we are selling teeny bopper clothes, right? That's what we're selling. So you wouldn't try to market that to somebody who is, say, in their 50s, because that's probably not going to work. Although that's not to say there's not a market for that. There maybe is, but let's say you're going for the general population of the tweens. You need to focus on that. You need to make sure all your messages will be bubbly and all that good stuff. So you get it. You get the picture, right? Totally makes sense. Same thing with B2B, okay? The other important thing to understand is that people who are going to be buying your product, or at least having a part of the decision, or be influenced in part of that decision, are going to be looking at it for very different reasons. So a real good example, let's say an actual end user. Let's say you've got a CNC machine, and it's somebody who's on the floor who's actually going to be using it, and let's say they've had a really big challenge creating and sourcing these materials without having this machinery, and they're just really excited because it's going to make their job a million times easier. And so they're looking at it purely from, oh man, this is going to make my life a million times easier. Well, that from a plant operations standpoint, let's say that manager is going to look at it and say, man, that could really it could really increase our efficiency, and we're looking at the numbers, and we can have greater output. Kind of a little bit of a different reason. You move up a level. You look at maybe the CFO, and the CFO is going to say, by buying this piece, let's look at the numbers. How long is it going to take to repay it? And I get the increase in efficiency. Does that have a really bottom line impact? Great, awesome. Next level, go to the CEO, and it's like, okay, well, is this a reputable company? Is this somebody that we're going to have they have a long-standing relationship with? And if we have service issues, wherever they're going to come out, is going to make us look good? What have you? So there's a very different buying reasons. So the end user, the guy who's actually going to be using it, they're looking at it from, oh man, this is going to make my life a million times easier. Whereas CFO is going to be saying, bottom line, this is great. This is a great cog in the wheel. So having that information, it's really important, because then you can kind of break that down and then say, okay, well, what kind of content can we create around that product and service that's going to speak to the person on that level? So the way that you're going to address how your CNC machine is great to the actual operator and who the person who's going to be using it, you're going to talk about, ergonomic benefits. You're going to talk about different ways that it's going to just make their life easier and their job a lot better. And on the financial side, having content that speaks to how this is, maybe case studies that other companies have used this and how quickly they've been able to recuperate the costs, and look at the increase of efficiencies and the increase of output they've been able to have. Maybe on the plant operations side, all that is still relevant, but maybe the ease of actually deploying it. Maybe how much maintenance is involved, and once maintenance is involved, how much downtime there is, and how is that going to affect operations. So all of this information is really important, but everyone's going to be looking at it for a different reason. So when it comes to your marketing, let's say, okay, let's have marketing that's going to focus on that end user, the person who's actually going to be using it versus CFO. Does that make sense? Starting to make a little clear picture. That's why it's so important to kind of have that figured out and detailed out, because all of that will funnel into all your other content and all your other things. So we kind of talked about, all right, those are the people, sort of those titles. That's a very important thing. So the title of that person, who it is, what their responsibility is, and let's try to figure out what are their challenges, all right? So we've got CEO, CFO, plant operations, and end user. And there could be a lot of other, it could be procurement. We could have, COO, a lot of other titles, and you can fill that out. Honestly, sort of the bigger, more high dollar your product or service is, the more involved it is. If you're a material handling company and it's a huge solution, it's a big, huge operational thing, that's going to take obviously a long time, and you're going to have to talk to a lot of different stakeholders. And I'm preaching to the choir on this, because if you're listening to this, so you're like, yes. So, but it's very important that if we work backwards from there, that again, that'll influence the content that we need to make. So let's figure out those people, those roles, who they are in the organization, where they are, whether maybe they may not be the actual decision maker, but they may be an influencer. And that's very important to know. Because let's say if they're an influencer, for example, giving some information is going to make them help to point like, hey, this is the right decision. So they'll be a cheerleader for this product or service, saying, hey, yeah, this is really going to help us. Whereas obviously, if you're one of the decision makers, the one who's going to sign the check, or at least bring it up the flag for the final approval. So those are important things as well. One of the really, really big areas, and this is something that gets really kind of overlooked. And that's asking a key question of where really do these people that you're targeting spend most of their time? Now, it's kind of an interesting thing. Think of it from a personal standpoint, like where maybe they spend their personal time relative to work, and both. Yes, obviously, we're going to think work first, but then also personal. And you'll see why I'm talking about this here in a minute. We got to think about that. When it comes to where we're going to put our content, what that content is going to look like, how it's going to be delivered, needs to be wrapped around, well, where is everybody looking? So if everyone's looking over here, right, we want to make sure all of our content is here. We want to be in front of them over here. If they're looking over here, we want to be over here. So that's very important. Where are they looking? Where are they spending their time? That's where you need to be. So ask yourself the question, is our audience or our buyers, our influencers, or decision makers, are they in trade magazines? Are they looking? Are they consuming that? They may or they may not. I'm not trying to knock it down one way or the other. I know we're digital, whatever. Trade magazines really do provide a lot of value, but you have to ask yourself a question. Are they using that? Are they engaging with actually reading that content? If they are, great, that's where you need to be. If they're not, you need to move elsewhere, okay? So trade show magazines, or trade magazines. What about trade shows? Are they there? Are they not? What about a big thing, online? Okay, and this is where the personal thing comes in. Did you know, and there's a big stat, we have a presentation on this, there is a stat that says the average, let's say daily active Facebook user, they spend anywhere between 20 and 50 minutes on Facebook per day, okay? Now, that could be doing personal stuff, just looking at their friend stuff. There could be like business stuff in there a little bit, probably more on the personal side, but people are spending their time there. Okay, fine, average daily active user, 20 to 50 minutes per day, that's great. Did you know that there's like over 1 billion daily active users on Facebook? That's a lot of people. So, I'm not saying that's 100% where your target or your prospect is, but you got to start thinking about that a little bit. LinkedIn is a really good example. How many people are actually using that every single day and they're on that platform? So we got to start asking ourselves this question: where are people spending their time? The product, or the influencer, decision maker, where is that? Because that's going to really help to start to kind of frame. Okay, here's the content we need to create. Here's the challenges they have. Here's the content we need to create around that. And then here's how we're going to deploy that. So if it's all online versus, let's say, a trade magazine, that's very different. A trade magazine is going to be very paper. It's very material. You're going to have, a print ad or something. And you do need to have a landing page strategy, and you do need a digital strategy with that. It really should be omni-channel. It shouldn't just be that, but that's another topic for another day. Versus something that's going to be a little bit more online. So it can be the same content. It can be the same. It just needs to be flipped and needs to be packaged a little bit differently. Does that make sense? So that is why really developing your buyer personas is really, really, really critical. Because if we don't get this step right the first time at the very beginning, you're going to be repeating a problem with a lot of zeros at the end of it. Does that make sense? You're going to start creating a lot of content, maybe put some ad budget behind there. And if you've got this wrong, if you're not targeting the right people or the right challenge in there, it's all for naught, and you're wasting your time. Okay, and that's honestly where a lot of digital marketing, I'm ranting, this is where a lot of digital marketing goes wrong, is where everyone gets excited because you can do really cool things. There's analytics, there's all kinds of information. Look, we sent out an email to 10,000 people or 500 people or whatever it is, and we get people are opening it and this and that, and this is so exciting. We have analytics, we can see this, but maybe the message is not right. Oh, people aren't clicking through. People aren't actually opting in for whatever that is that we need. Oh, you see this on social media, for example. Oh, we got lots of views and we got, oh, this is awesome. Okay, great. We got lots of views. Are they the right people? Are they the people that we're trying to go after? Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know. I don't know about that. Okay. We've got the tools and there's the ability to be able to do that. It's important to be able to figure that out. So, end rant on that. So your personas, that's kind of what you want to do. You want to figure out who they are, figure out their title, look at their challenges. Maybe what are those frequently asked questions that comes up in the sales process that they ask? And then ask yourself, where are these people? Like, not just physically, but where are they? Where are they looking? Where do they spend their time? And that will help to take that next step saying, hey, we got buyer personas, these are what they look like, here's their challenges, here's where they are in the company, here's whether they're an influencer or a decision maker, and then now we can move into the next step. Okay, now we have that, now we can develop our content strategy, and we can figure out how we're gonna deploy that content and make it successful. So, I know I just fire hosed you. I do this every week, but it's all good. I hope you like this. Listen, we've got a download that you can take, and it helps to kind of walk you through developing that. It's a quick couple slides and ask a couple questions that you can fill it out to really help to identify who those people are, where they are, ask those right questions to help kind of fuel your content strategy. So. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, if there's a particular challenge that you're facing in your organization and you'd like a little bit of insight, reach out. We'd love to answer these questions in an episode. You can reach out to us at industrialsage.com/questions. If you're listening on iTunes, we'd love a review, or if you're looking on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter, we'd love, share, like, subscribe here on the website. We can send these emails to you every single day. Make sure if you're not subscribed, you do that. This is really relevant content. And we were hearing from a lot of people on how much this is really helping to really help share best practices around that. So we'd love for you to subscribe. And I'm done. I'm done for the day. This is Danny Gonzalez, and I'm done here with Industrial Sage. We'll see you next week. One of the most important elements of developing a digital marketing strategy is figuring out your buyer personas. We have a downloadable for you that is a quick walkthrough on how to fill that out. Long story short, your buyer personas are the people who are going to be buying your product, your prospects. They could be influencers or decision makers. And figuring that out is very, very critical to figuring out what your content strategy is and how you're going to deploy that and how you're going to distribute your content. So download this. It's just a quick few slides, and you can we have some questions, and you can fill out who those target personas are, and then you can take that and help to develop your content strategy. And this actually goes into the digital marketing content planner. This can kind of feed into that. So go ahead and download it, and if you have any questions, reach out. We'd love to help you.